Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Shatter the Script podcast. This is week 3. A lot of NFL action that we have had so far this weekend. Some good fantasy stuff. I think he had a pretty. Oh, sorry. We got the Dallas Cowboys game live here on the screen versus Baltimore. It's an absolutely atrocious turnout, but the Cowboys, if you're joining us live right now, just got an onside kick recovery. So we'll be monitoring that as the podcast goes on. Of course, people know that we're fans, but yeah, you got the stardom sittings we're going to go through per usual. We're going to talk a little bit about some college football. I know Colorado had a pretty exciting ending to their game and some fun SEC matchups across the board, and some atrocity with Arkansas and Auburn. We'll get into that a little bit, and some developing stories in the NFL. Of course, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, and all these sorts of guys. But I'm your host, Jared Bain, and I'm joined by
Hunter Poole. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to talk, man. I was like, I guess he's gonna do the whole podcast today. I was like, is he gonna stop talking? Is he gonna let me say one word? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I got to do the intro for 30 minutes before you say anything.
Well, we've been pretty quiet for the last 2.5 hours watching the game, so we got all this built up, ready to talk and everything like that. Stardom sit-ums, college football. Dallas Cowboys just got the onside kick, 28-12, 8 minutes left. Dak, it's garbage time, but it's really not garbage time because it's still a game. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if the Cowboys did not fumble inside the red zone earlier in the game. Their defense has not looked good one bit, but perhaps if this ends up being a score for the Cowboys, which I'm sure while we're recording this, there will be an interception. But if this happens to be a one-score game going into this, you're asking for one as crap. Well, there goes Ferguson with a dislocated shoulder. But you're asking for the defense to get at least one stop. So, but yeah, we all watched a pretty rough Eagles-Saints game. Wow, there we go. We're so like that. Usually, like, there's not a game playing at this time, but now, of course, we got the Dallas Cowboys on. But yeah, okay, well, let's talk a little bit about what we've seen so far from Dallas since it's on currently, and then we'll get to the rest of the story. So when you're watching Cowboys last week, they didn't get any stops. Saints looked like they were on fire. The Saints come into this week, struggle against the Eagles, and the Dallas kind of looks similar to last week in terms of the run game. So what's your overall analysis through 3.5 quarters of play?
Thank you, Jared. Yeah, so, with the Cowboys so far, they've been very, very bad on the defensive side. Offense really hasn't been doing much either, and they had a couple of good drives, but for the most part, I've said this, last week as well, if we didn't have someone like Aubrey, it'd take us a lot longer to score some points because he can, you saw 65 yards, and we got a touchdown by Dak Prescott.
There we go.
To Jalen Tolbert. Sorry, you CeeDee Lamb lovers and fantasy players, but, Dak's going to get you some points. There's still a lot of, they might come back. We saw Baltimore blow it last week. Let's see if the Cowboys can come back and do it again.
Yeah, that was a great onside kick. Brandon Aubrey's an absolute weapon. I mean, you can call him like Weapon X, Weapon K, doesn't really matter. Officer K from Blade Runner. This dude is an absolute cyborg when it comes to kicking the football. So I literally just said, what kind of a weapon can he be when you're kicking an onside kick? We know he can kick field goals, and we get the recovery. No T either. He just kind of threw a sideways spin on it. Nobody's open. Dak Prescott's going to run around. Oh my God, bro.
Almost a good play.
Damn. Well, that changes a lot. Now it's...
No, I mean, there's still a lot of time. As long as you can score, they got 3 timeouts. The problem is they can't stop the run right now. But Cowboys got some momentum. Let's see if they can get another onside. And yeah, Dak almost made a play. He's going. He's man.
0 for 2 on 2-point conversions for the Cowboys. I still think that their offensive scheme was not drawn up very good the last 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on, but it is very early on in the season, and you never know. We talked about it off script. I think this is something that would be fun to bring up, that you believe that the Cowboys are going to make a trade at some point, and you had some targets.
Yeah, so the Cowboys, they're gonna have to make a trade for some type of wide receiver. We saw them do it with Amari Cooper. There's been talks about, let's bring back Amari Cooper, but Marcus Mosher, who we respect around here, he said, fully guaranteed contract for the Amari Cooper for the 2024 season. It doesn't make sense for Dallas to go after him. But some targets, we got Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, one of those guys, because we're not gonna get somebody that's gonna be, with us probably next year, depending on where this, we saw it with Amari, we signed him eventually, but the Cowboys are gonna have to get somebody eventually, probably by week 7 or 8.
Yeah, you want to get a solid rental. Let's see what they do here on this onside kick. Well, that one didn't work out very well. Yeah, you want to get a solid rental. You're not going to have him next year. So I think somebody like that can get you some production in the slot or as a downfield threat. I think that's going to be effective for the Dallas Cowboys offense moving forward. And a lot of our audience is probably locked into this game currently. So that happens to be, this reminds me a little bit of the Dallas Cowboys versus the Atlanta Falcons game a couple years ago, where it was just chaos, But let's get into some other games and shatter the script on some subjects like Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. That is one of the most annoying teams to monitor if you're a fantasy football owner, but they have found a lot of ways to win. They don't get it done in such a pretty way, but Justin Fields was very efficient today. No, I don't think he had any turnovers. Throwing for over 240 plus and great completion percentage. And they beat a game managing Chargers team by double digits.
Yeah, and the big storyline is Justin Herbert re-aggravated his ankle. He was seen with the walking boot after, and like Jared said, the Steelers. I am so glad I'm not a Steelers fan, because if I had to watch that team every Sunday and root for them, that offense is just when you guys ever have a chance, just go look at the ESPN app when they're playing and look at it'll be 2-yard Najee run, sack, false start, punt. Okay. Then it's like sack, TJ Watt, punt. And then, it's just they don't move the ball. They don't push it, but they did have Justin Fields did make a nice 55-yard touchdown pass. Of course, he threw it about 15 yards down the field, straight dot. And Calvin Austin ran it in. And moving forward, the Steelers are not a very fun team to watch, but they're 3-0, best record in the league. So we'll see what they can do. Everyone knows the Steelers and kind of how they're always defense and everything like that.
Yeah, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, my shatter the script moment of this team would be that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the number 1 defense in the NFL. I think that they have shown that in every single game that they play, we can hold your team to under 20 points no matter who you got. They did great against the Falcons. They did great last week, and they did great this week. And those are still teams trying to figure out who they are in identity for sure. But the pressure that TJ Watt and others put on quarterbacks has been very loud for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's a common thing. It's just a terrible towel. But the second the Pittsburgh Steelers get rolling on offense, like the good old days with Ben Roethlisberger, then you get some excitement. But yeah, I think the Steelers have a good chance to go 9-8, 10-7 like they have been the past couple of years, and maybe secure a playoff spot. I don't see them winning the division. I know the Ravens are having a slow start, looking to be back in the win column probably in this game. But in terms of talent, I just see the Bengals and the Ravens taking over at some point.
Yeah, the Steelers, they're like you said with like the Big Ben, they're always, they're always gonna have a good defense. Mike Tomlin, a very well respected coach. But man, Jared, they are just dog shit to watch, man. They hurt the eyes. There's no real excitement when you're watching the Pittsburgh Steelers play.
Yeah, it's that SpongeBob meme where he's like, my eyes.
My eyes.
Golly. All right, yeah. And then, on to, I believe the Carolina game is over or close to it. But Andy Dalton, man, looked phenomenal today. And that is always a really rough thing to see when, I was going to say Juice Vaughn's about to get murdered on live television. It's always a really tough thing to see when a guy like Bryce Young gets benched. And I want to throw my thoughts out on Bryce Young before we move forward. I really do think there were some things that I said about Dave Canales before the season started that I was a fan of his. That I think he's going to change the culture over there in Carolina and help Bryce Young. Looked like they were doing some really good movement in protection schemes and in the running game. What I didn't know is that he was the least efficient running coordinator in the league last year, and that was with like you could blame that on Rachaad White too. I mean, he's not the most efficient runner in the league, but that is the one thing that offsets a young quarterback's career is a great run game. We saw it with Prescott. We saw it with Lamar. We saw it with Burrow. I mean, like these guys, well, not really Burrow probably, but we saw it with these guys. There goes Lefty. Go Lefty. I love him, dude. Give me an H-back any day of the week. You give me an H-back in there that'll have that bulldog face mask type thing, the eye black, all day.
Yeah. Hunter Lucky reminds me to my good old friend Ryan May. Every time I see him, Hunter Lucky, I just think of Ryan every single time.
Yeah, there's a fullback, there's an H-back for the University of Army that has the full thing. He's got the rubber arm pads, he's got the taped knuckles, the bulldog Rydell face mask structure, the neck pad. I mean, it's the full shebang. But yeah, I just looking back on it, I don't think Dave Canales was the best fit for a guy like Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young needs to move to a different team, get a new identity. But Carolina has butchered a lot of careers, and they traded a lot to get what happened to be the first overall pick for Bryce Young. And nothing to show for it, man. I mean, they wasted a lot. They traded out for a lot of talent. If you remember, it was Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns, and who else was it in that package? But
and then the big one too. I was just talking, not even into the mic. The big one was too, where it all kind of went downhill, was Luke Kuechly, when he retired. That's where they kind of went downhill.
Oh fuck! And
also, I might ask, where the fuck is CeeDee Lamb at? Why is he not on the field?
I don't know, but I'm kind of confused on what the hell's going on with Dallas right now. This game.
Yeah, the people are gonna be like, yeah, first down.
Oh wow.
There's still a lot of time left in this game. The Cowboys could.
Don't give me false hope.
I'm just saying it ain't over until the fat lady starts singing.
All right, well, let's get a little crazy here. Let's say the fat lady hasn't sung yet, and the Dallas Cowboys pull out a crazy victory in this game. What's your reaction?
There's still a lot of issues. They still need to do a lot. I'm not going to overreact. I just think that if somehow, some way they do pull this game off, that it would be one of the luckiest things I've seen. Oh, and CeeDee Lamb is.
I still think we're gonna get some cheese. Okay, Dak, come on, dude, let's go. You got to hit him there. You got to. I would be more overreacting on the Ravens. That's twice that they blew a lead, maybe 3 times, but I can't remember what it was with the Chiefs and Ravens. But anyway, yeah, Andy Dalton looked good, and I think Bryce Young needs another chance. But Andy Dalton just tore it up today. And Adam Thielen went to the medical tent, was out for the rest of the game. Deontay Johnson looked phenomenal. Chuba Hubbard looked phenomenal. And the Raiders, man, I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do, but they have zero identity, and it's concerning. So,
yes, we're just like, even though we're doing the pod right now, I think everybody's kind of in that the Cowboys mode. But another thing is kind of get on some stardom sit-ups. Hunter Henry was on my sit-up. He didn't do too hot. Josh Jacobs. The one where I totally flopped was the Kyron Williams sit-up. That man has 3 touchdowns. Jason, they blew them out. DK had the big day. Godwin, he didn't do too much. Zamir White, he only got 10 carries. We're gonna see the Jaden Daniels AR-15. You guys saw that. There's still a lot of things to question about him. Like I said, the ones I got right, I hope y'all listen. The ones I got wrong, I apologize. I just gotta take it to the chin and get better each week.
Yeah. And did you get to go through all of them, or did you want to go through a couple of them?
Yeah, so I mean, we still got some playing right now, and so
we're still waiting on Zamir White in the stardoms. Yeah,
pass
again. There's zero identity with that offense. Gibbs looked great, and Jigba, dude, fucking Lockett was stealing targets from him.
Yeah, like there's a lot of fantasy is just so hard because you never know what's gonna happen. Kyle Pitts hasn't played. Nico Collins, you guys saw that. You know, he ended up having a pretty decent game. Looks like Cowboys are if they can score before 2:30, there's
a chance.
There's a big chance. 49ers defense, they don't have too many turnovers. Drake London, sit-em, plays tonight. But besides Kyron Williams, that sit-em list, you know, Cowboys defense, Hunter Henry didn't do much. Godwin, you know, Josh. If Drake London doesn't do anything tonight, guys, I'm just gonna say, you know, it's pretty spot on. Oh! Wow.
Damn, bro, that was a good throw. Cook's got some separation there. I like the shot there. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to predict what the Cowboys are going to do in terms of fantasy. So I think he did the right thing with sitting them there. It's just got to go with the gut feeling. We had some people argue on TikTok about the Kyron Williams sit 'em versus San Francisco, and I think that doesn't have any meaning for this week. I think long term, you understand that Kyron Williams is going to be. We've talked about it. Is going to be a big PPR god because there's no one else kind of over there. But a matchup like the 49ers just didn't seem plausible. What in the world? And you get, 25, 26 points. They're still playing or whatever. But, you had to start Zamir and then sit Kyron. That's difficult because Zamir was playing one of the worst teams in the NFL. It just seemed like a no-brainer. And that is freaking fantasy football for you, man. It's just,
you never know. So it looks like the Lions just won 20-13. They beat the Cardinals on the road. And then we got the Rams and 49ers. Depending on what the Rams do in the next 42 seconds, this game might go in OT or Rams can pull it off. We'll see what they can do. They're at the 50-yard line. 1st and 10. 19. I think the Rams are going to take it.
He's got a man.
Boom! Oh!
No flags. No flags.
We got ourselves a game.
We got ourselves a ball game. If you're tuning in, you can get a live reaction of us. We're gonna have never mind, I'm not gonna say that, but
wow.
Oh my god. If they win, I'm gonna order the most slimed out meal you can think of for dinner.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna apologize for it.
He slipped. Look at this.
See the little back shoulder corner route, 3 feet in, and this is where Aubrey misses it. Kidding.
Never.
Kidding. All right.
There's still.
Let's cover some other games. All right. The Vikings and Texans. Sam Darnold, 4 touchdown passes day. Kind of left with an injury a little bit. We'll probably get an injury analysis from the medical guy during the week to see if there's anything that we really need to pay attention to there. But an absolute blowout. I mean, I think Brian Flores needs to be talked about as one of the best defensive coordinators right now in Minnesota, and they really don't have any eye-opening talent. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do they have Stephon Gilmore over there in Minnesota? I don't know.
I don't believe so. Not that I can think of. Brian Flores and Sam Darnold. I've always had my fair criticism with him. We talked a little bit last week about it too. He is a very, very he's a serviceable quarterback, that's for sure. And he's that bridge quarterback. If we had it, I would rather have him as a backup than Trey Lance. I guess that's kind of hindsight's 2020, kind of easy to say. But Sam Darnold, he's leading the league in touchdowns right now. I know it's week 3, but with that defense, and he can, as long as he doesn't turn over the ball, that team could win that division and possibly go to like the second round of the playoffs.
Absolutely. And they still don't have a lot of their weapons. We're still waiting on TJ Hawkins in return. We're still waiting on Jordan Addison return. They might have got a player in Naylor, the wide receiver. I think he's number 83. There's a lot of unanswered questions of what the Vikings could be, but this is what happens when you're able to provide for a quarterback. Like, I'm actually really happy that Sam Darnold is doing what he's doing. I think a lot of people are, but he looks great today. He even had a couple throws to Justin Jefferson that were dropped by Jefferson that could have increased his stats even more in his performance. And what the defense is doing scheme-wise, I would love for the analysts to kind of go through it a little bit. If not, I'd like to do a little film analysis. I feel like they've got to be doing something special and I'd be willing to go in there and identify with the all 22 if we had it. But great stuff over there, man. I love a good defense with a team that you have a lot of questions in coming into this season.
Let me ask you this with this Cowboys game going on.
Yeah,
If
sure.
the Cowboys, let's just say they were to get the ball back, it's 28-25 right now. That's the score when they get the ball back. Let's just say either kick a 70-yard field goal or you have to take a shot at the end zone. Which one are you doing?
I'm doing a 70-yard field goal.
I guess you do got to put the ball in your best player's hand.
We're at home. We're in a controlled, temperatured environment. If Aubrey can just kick it straight, it can go in. That is something that I can 1,000% take to the bank. Aubrey can put it in the basket.
What about 72 yards?
How much time we got on the clock? 2 seconds?
5.
5 seconds? I might try a sideline throw. Might.
I don't know, man.
But I would try it. If it was at all, like, let's say it's 3 seconds. Yeah, fuck it. I'm kicking that. I'm trying that field goal. Here's where the Ravens just open up their offense and Mark Andrews comes alive. Lamar keeps it a quarterback keeper inside the 24-yard line for about a 4-yard gain on the left hash there. Damarian Overshone on the tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. That'll bring up 2nd and 6. Hunter, we got a lot of going on in this ball game here in Dallas, Texas. About 88 degrees for your Cowboys. My uncle's at this game, and I figured they might have left and wanted to come back, but Cowboys are hanging into this thing. That's like KB. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm glad I could be here today. We just got word that cat is not a cat. That's actually Jake Cutler. He is high as fuck on the field right now.
Jake Cutler, bro. But yeah, dude, I like to imitate those guys like Kevin Burkhardt. TB12. That's what's your rating? For that. That's an A+ throw. Okay. So we got the Vikings and the Texans covered. We got this. They're Shatter the Script a little bit of the Justin Fields performance. The Fields era in Pittsburgh has started. The Saints, man, they got on a great roll to start the year. 2-0, destroy the Cowboys at home, and they go into the Eagles. They kind of just stunk it up, man. I was watching a lot of what they were doing on offense. Derek Carr really struggled. I want to give a big shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. They let nothing get behind them besides that one throw to Shaheed towards the left sideline into the end zone that was just slightly underthrown. I think Derek Carr was a little off target throughout this game, and he was rattled. But CJ Gardner-Johnson had some choice words for Derek Carr. I don't know if you were able to see him.
Was it something in the locker room? That was a real tweet.
Yeah. Well, he said in the interview afterwards, he was like, they got Derek Carr, so like they're just pretenders.
Oh yeah, I didn't know if that was an actual tweet or anything. Wow.
Do you think that's valid? I think it's a valid thing to say about Derek Carr.
Derek Carr hasn't been Derek Carr since he tore his ACL when he was having that MVP caliber season. But I guess you could say, I wouldn't say pretenders. That's a good team. They're still a good team, but they're just. I think Cowboys made them look a little bit better than they probably were, but nevertheless, they're still a very good team, and they're down.
Damn.
The first time Diggs has been thrown at on 3rd down. That's great.
That's tough. That's a ball game. Yeah. Why did we call our timeouts there?
I was thinking that too. The silence.
Wow. And we're just sitting here watching that cat. I mean, he was a millisecond away from batting that ball down. Perfectly timed throw from Lamar. God, I think that's it. Yeah. But yeah, shit. That's so annoying. Dude, a split second sooner, that would have been pass broken up. But yeah, CJ Gardner-Johnson's got himself a loud mouth. Derek Carr and the Saints are a team that you got to keep an eye on as trade candidates going into the season. If they start to have a good year, they do need the help at the receiver spot. They could use another guy. And there's people on the market. But the Saints, they've got Carr under contract. They've got Olave on a cheaper deal. They can actually probably go out and afford a bigger time wide receiver than the Cowboys can. Their market's much different and much more open than the Dallas Cowboys would be if the Cowboys made a move and the Saints did. But yeah, I think they can. I think they should if they end up being contenders.
Oh, I thought that
I
ball
thought
came.
that ball. Oh my gosh.
Here's some breaking news too. The Rams have stunned the 49ers. The 49ers dropped down to 1-2. Dropped down to 1-2.
Oh man. And if you think, I mean, we're watching this game right now. We're talking all this mess about, the Cowboys blowing this shit at home. Yes, they have looked atrocious, but if CeeDee Lamb did not fumble, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, the Cowboys are ahead in this game right now. Which the game might have been a little bit more different, seeing that the game was closer. This game was out of reach for a while until 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, essentially. But I'm just saying, it's a completely manageable game if that doesn't happen. And that's saying if the Cowboys scored, so it's a lot of ifs there. But what happened has happened. The Cowboys need to capitalize and save as much time as they can and hopefully come back on this one. But Ravens, man, they need to be talked about in terms of defense. Unfortunately, with them being the way that they are currently, blowing these huge leads, they haven't had very tough challenges besides the Chiefs in the first game. So Dallas coming in here at home, it would be alarming as defensive coordinator, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the Cowboys move through.
Yeah, I think this game's over. I don't think the Dallas has a shot. They might get a couple seconds on the clock, which could work, but you never know. It's the Cowboys. Yeah, so shocker. So what are your overreactions with the 49ers and Rams game?
So the Niners, Niners were
They shattered the script.
Yes, the Niners were losing. They didn't have Kittle, McCaffrey, Debo, Trent Williams. I don't know if he came back in the game, but he did leave too. But it's not like the Rams are completely healthy too. They're missing their 2 stud wide receivers. Their offensive line is beat the shit. This is a good win for the Rams. It kind of tells you how Stafford was when he was with the Lions. Very, very behind all the time. Never really had too much things. But yeah, shout out to the Rams because tired of hearing these Niners fans thinking they're on top of the world and blah, 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 blah. They're probably worse than Cowboys fans. They've been to Super Bowls, but they haven't won anything. They actually haven't won a Super Bowl in a lot longer than the Cowboys. And I'm one of those things where I don't cheer about going to the playoffs. I don't cheer about winning a division. If we lose, we lose. I have a different kind of output and outlook on it. So
yeah,
we'll see. Well, good win by the Rams.
Yeah, good win by the Rams. I mean, in the shadow of the Stats and Scars episode, we all did predict the 49ers to beat the Rams by a comfortable amount because we called it the injury game. And that may have played a factor in that matchup. We weren't able to watch it where we're locally resided at. But that probably played a factor. I mean, Juwan Jennings, let's shout out him. I mean, hell of a day for him. I think over 40 fantasy points. 3 times finding the end zone. I think over the last 2 years combined, he only had 2 touchdowns. But I mean, there's a lot of questions being asked about the 49ers, offensive line. And then you're going in without Debo, and Ayuk missed training camp, and we don't know how far he's coming along. He was much less involved than Juwan Jennings, but I think crap. Well, there you go. That's the end of the game right there.
Darn.
Bullshit. That sucks. But Dallas will fall to 1-2, and the Ravens will get in the win column to 1-2 after that Lamar Jackson run.
Holding. Whoa.
That is hold. Yeah, that is a hold. They're not going to call that though. They can't have the Ravens going 0-3. They need to think about it. This is the Shatter the Script debunk the mainstream media moment right here. They got to have Lamar Jackson in the playoffs because it brings TV ratings. They don't want some bum in there like, Let's think of an AFC team that just like Trevor Lawrence. No one cares about the Jaguars being in the playoffs. They want that Lamar Jackson, that big name, that 2-time MVP quarterback in there. They were going to win this game the whole time. We're playing against the machine, Hunter. It's not the Cowboys. We actually are a good team.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
Well, here we are. The Cowboys, fall to 1-2. Still earliest season. They played the Giants, early game Thursday this week. We'll see what they're gonna do. I mean, with them doing what they have to do, Neighbors, he's a dog. Daniel Jones, trash.
Yeah,
League neighbors, dog.
Yeah, they got a couple over there. I mean, not much, but Thursday going to that game, you got to destroy them. You got to. It's the only option. Get to 2-2 because your schedule, and Diggs is all pissed off. Yeah, he just slammed his helmet. Oh man. On the scoreboard doesn't really show how far apart that game was.
Yeah, they're the garbage time. But I mean, it was still a game. The garbage time did lead to, when it's like under 5 minutes and you're down by 3 touchdowns, but like 10 points under 5 minutes, like there's still a lot of time. That's why, that's how it is. But
let's go into let's combine on some fantasy outlook for the upcoming week, or for tonight's matchup, the Sunday night football game versus Atlanta and the Kansas City Chiefs. We got some big name players playing tonight. You got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins. Out of those 4, who are you starting and who are you sitting?
What was it? Kirk Cousins, Drake London.
The 4 Falcons stars. You got Kirk Cousins, Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. For those studs out there, are you starting all of them, or are you sitting a couple?
Of course, Bijan, I think he's gonna have a tough time. We got Chris Jones in the middle of the pack. I think it's a big game for Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts, being on the platform. I know we've been waiting for, 10 years for this shit to happen, but I think they're gonna have. I think he's have a big game. So Drake London, I could be totally wrong. I like to think I'm right a lot of times, but he could be in a rough night because that secondary for the Chiefs is not something to lightly handle. You got Bijan or any of those guys started?
No, I don't have unsurprisingly, I don't have a single Falcon in any of my leagues, which was not on purpose. I did kind of want to target some of them. I thought about having a trade with me and you earlier in the season. I didn't want to freak out too early, but Drake London, I do have high hopes for that guy, and I hope he gets a lot of targets. I mean, the other guys over there, they're kind of utility players. They're not really stars. So Drake London, I've seen him with Desmond Ridder take over a game, and I saw that he has it in him, but it's a matter of targets. You got to get that guy the rock in some way, shape, or form. But Kirk Cousins looked a lot healthier last year. I know he's not really rostered in a lot of leagues, but I think he'll be increasingly more targeted because of the riddled injuries thus far. And Kirk Cousins he looked great in prime time against the Eagles on Monday Night Football, throwing just absolute dots in 2-minute drills. So if I'm a fantasy owner going into this game and you got any of those Falcons players going against the Chiefs, you got to realize McDuffie is probably the cornerback for Kansas City Chiefs is probably going to shadow Drake London, which might open up the field, like you said, for Kyle Pitts. So if you have Kyle Pitts, you're hoping for 4 or 5 receptions, maybe an end zone target. But one, absolutely, of course, we're not going to say sit Bijan, but he's probably going to be very, very effective in the passing game in tonight's ball game. I'm really looking forward to what he can do, kind of shake and bake a little bit, maybe find the end zone. We're thinking maybe 17 to 20 points for Bijan tonight. And then on the flip side, you got the Chiefs. Is it too early to freak out about Travis Kelce?
It's not too early. Travis Kelce is done.
He's done. He's finished. And you did have him on the sit list the first week, and people were like, what is this clown doing? And it's a hard week to predict. And what is it? 2 catches and then 1 catch the next week?
Yeah, he
3 catches in 2 games.
Yeah, he has his eyes on the prize on something else. He's he's worried about other things, not really on the field. You see this new haircut and everything. Yeah, he's on the better things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people call it the Taylor Swift curse. I mean, she's a witch, man. I mean, she does demonic rituals in concerts. So when you have demonic, I mean, you would think like Travis Kelce with taking the vaccine and everything and being Taylor Swift, he would be backed by the machine. He would be backed by the deep state government, by Kamala Harris. I'm waiting for that moment that Travis Kelce comes out and says, I endorse Kamala Harris for 2024 president. I stand by my future wife, Taylor Swift, and I have gotten down on my knees in front of my team and I put a fist up and I've done all these different things. And I think that might propel him to have an immaculate performance in primetime to where, age is kind of catching up to him. You want to bring spiritual demonic realms into your life if you're a guy like Travis Kelce. Or, you can do the flip side of that and just call on Christ, and maybe things change for him. But he needs a spiritual awakening, and I'm hoping he chooses Christ. In all seriousness, fuck all that demon shit. But I hope he chooses Christ, and he needs to make some changes. But okay, let's check out who's your running back to go for the Chiefs now. I know Carson Steele, Kareem Hunt, I think still in the practice squad.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt won't be playing today. If you have any choice to not start the running backs for the Chiefs, I would not start them. But if I had to start one, I would go with P. Ryan. He's more of a catcher, PPR. So, go with him. But if you can avoid it, by all means, please avoid it. But watch him go for 3 touchdowns now that I said that.
Yeah, I like a little Carson Steele kind of action. I think he is going to give you 7 carries. 7 carries. But Rashad Rice, I'm starting that dude. I don't care. Week in, week out, that dude's getting 6, 7, 8 catches a week. I'm liking what he's doing. Should be in prison, but maybe get one good season in, and we'll see what the NFL decides to do with the cracking of the damn suspension.
Let's hope he doesn't go off.
Yeah. Well, you have too much to track. I mean, again, you're like the ESPN guy who has like 12 leagues. You're very close to that. You have 7 or 8 leagues. So you're sitting there going, after week 4, for those people that are in a lot of leagues, when you're in week 4, 5, and 6, you start to know which teams you can actually pay attention to and which ones you're dialed in on. So that when Olave scores for your team, he also scored against you in another league, and you're like, I don't even know how to feel. But once you start diluting and, maybe things get a little bit better, a little more simple.
Derrick Henry just put up all those rushing yards with a nose ring in. Okay.
Nose ring. Yeah. You're a man. You don't need a nose ring. Is that
I don't know.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah. So let's get into some more game predictions for Sunday Night Football as we approach Carrie Underwood's amazing song, the best song in America. Before we get into those Sunday night predictions, being our podcast, I like to shout out my favorite country music singers, and we just brought up Carrie Underwood. Cody Johnson is releasing a single next Friday with Carrie Underwood. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. We should probably start a segment called Banger of the Week and just throw some out there that's a banger. But we'll have an incentive segment at some point from the fans that, kind of engages everybody. But like last year we did the track rankings, but I'm definitely excited for a little Cody Johnson. Why are they embracing a super long hug? That was sus. I'm definitely excited for a Cody Johnson single with Carrie Underwood for his double album. Cody Johnson's coming out with a song when leaves start to fall off the trees and you get the deer starting to come out and move around, and pumpkin spice lattes are released from Starbucks. But anyway, let's get into our Sunday Night Football predictions for the Atlanta Falcons versus the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you got?
I got Chiefs tonight, 24-20. Kyle Pitts scores all the touchdowns.
Every single one, all 3.
I could use like 3. If I can get like 3 Kyle Pitts touchdowns today, I'll go jump in my pool.
Yeah, I've got I got this being a close game. I think the Atlanta Falcons defense is very underrated. So I think the Chiefs kind of play up to par on defense as well. I think that's going to be the deciding factor of who plays better defense and disguises coverages and gets to the quarterback and pressure. I imagine that Kirk Cousins is going to be pressured more than Patrick Mahomes tonight and maybe face some trouble behind in the pocket due to his inability to kind of move as well as Mahomes. Mahomes can extend the play, as we all know. I think that's going to be the difference in tonight's game. I've got the Chiefs winning 27-17 in a pretty easy W. But Atlanta Falcons are still one of those teams that I've got, man, NFC South. I think that's a tight race. I literally think all 3 teams finish with 8 or 9 wins.
Well, there's 4 teams, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, you know what I mean. We're not going to count the Panthers in that. Yeah, come on. They maybe get 3 or 4 wins, but they got one today. Yeah. So, all right. Did we cover everything? Did we cover everything? God damn it.
Yeah, I think we did. And, a lot of people, the game went on a lot longer than probably people expected. came down to the wires. So people were even if they checked back out, then they checked back in. So they'll give us a listen soon.
Yeah, we covered all NFL stuff. But before we end today's episode, we're going to go through my college football picks from this previous weekend to see how I fared. I know I was 1 out of 3 on my picks. For you guys that watch, we're going to talk a little bit about Colorado's amazing Hail Mary at the end, and maybe Shadur's role in the upcoming draft, and where he stands in that kind of market. But yeah, I took the what was it? I took Tennessee 37-27 over Oklahoma. They ended up winning 25-15 in a very easy win. Not a lot of efficient offense in this one, especially not from Oklahoma. They got to figure it out on offense, but that defense from Oklahoma is their strong suit. But Tennessee is a real deal. I can see them being a college football playoff team going into the season. So I'm excited to watch all that. But yeah, shout out. That was my one correct prediction from the college football weekend. And then going into the other one, USC at Michigan. This one, I thought Michigan, ranked 11, going into the Big House, was going to come out with a victory. Because I still don't believe in the orgy-led offense in Michigan. I just think that they're defensively dominant team, which showed in this game and helped them get the victory over USC 27-24. But I had them winning. I had USC winning 23-20, and it was going to happen, and it just went the opposite direction towards the end of the game. So big win for Michigan. I can see them winning 7 or 8 games this year, possibly 9 if they clutch up and find a quarterback. And last but not least, we had number 12 Utah at number 14 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State fought back in the end. This was the battle of the old dog quarterbacks. These are your big boys, 30-year-old quarterbacks playing each other. Cam Rising actually was out of this game, so it kind of shattered my script a little bit. But Zach Wilson's younger brother came in and got the W for Utah 22-19. I had predicted Oklahoma State to come out with that victory. That Oklahoma State offense just looked very, 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 very poor. I want to, who's coaching at Bowling Green? That's my college football question. I'll be talking about that in the Stats and Scars episode. That's a winner for this season. I mean, they are giving top Power 5 teams some big fits in away games. They went to Penn State and played them close to a touchdown. They went to Aggieland, played them close, lost by 6 points with a weird, questionable field goal from the Aggies. So very strange. I had more fun watching college football again because the Cowboys look like shit this week. So we'll have more college football content as the week goes on. But yeah, I'm excited. But let's talk a little bit Shadur and then we'll wrap things up. You're a big fan of him. I mean, you saw that throw, and we were at the bar watching on the big screen. The Sicko Hours game, it kind of snuck in.
Yeah, the Shadur, I said it last year. I saw one half of him, and I just said he's gonna be a good NFL quarterback. And yes, it was very early because when I kind of base things up with quarterbacks, I don't go off if they win or lose games. I just go off, can you play or not? I use my eyes. I can't hear for shit, but I have 20/20 vision, so I trust my eyes more than anything. So when I see him play, the way his team is set up right now, it's almost like when he gets to the NFL, he's almost going to be more prepared than a lot of these guys because he's a lot smarter than a lot of these college quarterbacks, and he's already playing, behind a very subpar offensive line. So you're going to see you're going to see him in the NFL. He's going to make some plays, and he made that awesome throw in the rain, and then Travis Hunter, who's also a dog. He came in certified dog. Came in there, laid the wood on the ball. Ball pops out. It's game. They storm the field, and Colorado, with the Dion, they made a good point. I saw, they changed the atmosphere of people actually care to go to the games now. Storming the field. I know it's against Baylor, but at one point, they didn't really enjoy football over there. I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
So the whole program has changed, and then as soon as Shador and all them leave, then it's back to square one.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, if we're going to talk Shatter the Script with college football, I've been on both sides very, I want to argue unbiasedly on both sides of the argument with Colorado. I think that Shadur Sanders is a real deal quarterback and can play to an elite level in the NFL. And the brand he carries with him, I think, is what's going to hurt him long term. The attitude, the kind of placing the blame on the O line in that Nebraska game. If he can somehow correct that, those intangibles matter in a locker room. If he can somehow alter that to a team brand instead of an individual brand, I think Shadur can do wonders in the NFL. And I think that is my main argument with a team like Colorado. What they're doing over there as a program is exceptional because you're absolutely right. I mean, they want to go to the football games. They are there to watch Shadur, Travis Hunter, and Dion show up and throw some flash out there and play lights out football in a big conference now. The problem is that the team isn't that talented, but you have 2 or 3 individually branded superstars on that team that are going to be top 10 picks probably in the upcoming NFL draft that are showcasing all of this attention and absorbing all of it. That's my biggest argument with Colorado, is that they're individually branded. It's a lot like my arguments with a team like Dallas, is that you get an independently branded player like Parsons that'll go after the game and bitch about their effort. And then it's like the same kind of with Colorado, which is kind of ironic because Dion was a Cowboy. But the team is not talented. But Shadur and Travis Sanders, that's why Shadur's is so remarkable in terms of talent. And I will never hate on Shadur. I don't like his attitude, but talent, man, like Shadur's got it. That is one of the most live arms in the NFL.
What the fuck is this?
I saw that earlier, bro. Christian Watson, in the locker room, his full dingaling is out. And I'm like, bro, put some pants on.
What, you got this whole fucking chub on the fucking thing?
He's like, yeah, bro. Yeah, Matt LaFleur, give me that game ball. Give me something. Give me more of that. Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
What the fuck?
Yeah, come on. Put some pants on, Christian Watson. Put some damn pants on. 36 straight games with 100-plus rushing yards for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. Game ball, Derrick Henry. You wanted to be a Cowboy? Well, guess what? You get to destroy the Dallas Cowboys at their home field. Congratulations. Have fun. Yeah, interested to see what I think Colorado. I'm hoping they make a bowl game this year for Shadur, so we can get more Shadur action. So, at my Shatter the Script, I want to talk about this. If you guys tune in to our Thursday episode, Stats and Scars, I'll be talking about this because we cover a lot more college football in that. I'm going to be going into what I believe could potentially be a remarkable season for the Texas A&M Aggies, and it's what I expect, but it probably won't turn into reality. But looking at their schedule and how the SEC is kind of starting to shape, there is a chance. I predicted this off the record that the Longhorns and the Aggies could be very close in terms of record when they play each other, and A&M could be, a spoiler per se. I'm just saying. I'll talk about it more. You probably guys think I'm crazy. I am a realist. I've never believed in the A&M program as a fan of them. So don't think I'm a biased guy. I'm looking at the schedule and I'm going, there's a chance if they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, A&M has a chance to be 9-2 going into the Texas game. And I still think Texas has a good chance to beat Georgia and possibly goes undefeated. But that is going to be the biggest game of the freaking decade. I'm telling you right now, it's giving me chills. I got to be in that area when that happens. That is going to be the biggest game of the decade in college football.
Go to the game.
Yeah, you coming with, bro? Come on. It's Saturday after a couple days after Thanksgiving, so we'll see what's shaking. Might be hunting. Who knows? But yeah. Just a reminder, we changed a little bit of social media stuff as we wrap up this episode. We changed a little social media stuff. We are now Shatter the Script on Instagram, just spelled out. That way it's not too complex. But you're looking for the Shatter the Script podcast, just search the name. It's everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Shatter the Script. That is the tag. Same with TikTok. Same with Twitter. All of it. So that way it's just a lot more easier to find us. So you'll be getting this episode, of course, live here to be released. You can watch it anytime on YouTube. It'll be released on Spotify tomorrow, Apple Podcasts on Tuesday, and then live on Twitter. If you missed this live edition, we'll throw that pre-recorded live on Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. on Twitter. Thursday's our Stats and Scars episode with the medical guy and the analyst covering injury and stat analysis. Friday is our Challenge the Script. We got a new guest coming in. Last week, our guest, David May, was the first to beat the host Tennessee and Oklahoma match and correctly predicted the game. So I got a first host loss. We're coming in with our new guest, Chad Awney, a former college football player from the good old SFA Lumberjacks, Battle of the Piney Woods. Shout out my boys in the FCS. So that'll be a fun matchup. That'll be Alabama and Georgia coming up this Saturday on Challenge the Script. But this has been another edition of the Shatter the Script podcast, week 3. Had fun. We'll see you guys next week, and go Carrie Underwood.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah. All right. Go Cowboys. See y'all later.